Hi everyone, in this recording I just want to make sure you understand how to construct a square when you are using a circle in the inside construction. So let's start with the drawing here on the left hand side, and what we have here is a square with a base length of 30 millimeters. So I'm going to take you through the process of how to construct this. The reason why we want to construct a square with this construction method is because we want to be able to do constructions like these where the main axis of the square is tilted at an angle of 45 degrees or any other angle. So what we want to do is use this construction at any angle that we are required to draw at. There are other methods of constructing a square, but this one is the easiest way to quickly construct a square at an angle. Let's start. On the left hand side, we're going to just start our drawing by drawing a vertical construction line just to get the orientation of this more or less the same, and a horizontal construction line. And I'm going to start by adding that center line here and here. So just random lengths, and then all that I'm going to do is just select them, double click on the yellow dot, change the pen properties to the center line, go and change that to 0.2, align it, and there we go. So now we will do the fine tuning of the line lengths as we go along, but first let's just get the start of this drawing. So I see the color is, I want to change that to blue, so I can either just go here and change that then to blue. Good, so there's my center lines for the square. Let's clear all the water lines. Now once we have our center lines drawn up, that's always where we start, is with the center lines, always. Then we know that the base length of our square is then 30 millimeters all around. So therefore what we want to do is take our circle construction tool or your compass on paper, and we're going to change the color now to gray because we want to draw a light construction circle. And we're going to go and say that the radius must be 15 because the total width of the square is 30 millimeters. So therefore the radius from the center will be 15. And we draw that full circle on paper with your compass, and here just with the circle construction tool. And now what we want to do is parallel to the X and Y axes, we're going to go and draw a construction line just so that we have those perimeters horizontally and vertically. These on CAD or on TurboCAD, as I've said before, is like water lines. And then once we've done that, you can either just draw the lines individually or use a square tool, or you can even use the polyline tool. So let's use the polyline tool in this instance. So let's just draw the outline. This will be a solid outline. So, and then on the last one I'm gonna click, and then you have the line on a leash, and you right click and you say finish or close. If you say close, you can hatch that surface area. We don't want to do that, we just want to finish, so it will just be an entity of the polyline, but it won't be able to hatch unless you change the properties later. Good, so now that we have the square, we can now go and do some cleanup. So get rid of the excess lines and just bring our construction lines. Now to get them all to be exactly on CAD, I just use the circle waterline tool, and I just more or less draw to where I want to lengthen it, so that when I lengthen these extents of the center lines, it is always exactly to the same radius. However, this is not really necessary. You can just estimate it with the eye, but I like to do it this way. Good, so there we go. Now we have drawn the square, but now we want to have a square that's tilted at 45 degrees. So I think you get the idea. It's the exact same construction that we're going to use. So I'm going to start off by just drawing for myself a guideline here, more or less central to that one. And then I'm going to draw an angular line of 45 degrees, more or less here beneath the other one. So I'm going to say tab 45 degrees and escape on that. and then obviously we're going to go through the center. We're going to make our center, so we're going to say tab minus 45, so that is an angle of 90 degrees to the first one. We could also have used the perpendicular construction tool. Then what I want to do is just draw two lines. Once again, as I said, we always start with the center line, so I'm just going to draw two center lines here, and then I'm going to change their properties so that it actually is center lines and looks like center lines. So we go to that one, going to say 0.2 for the scale, and then a line always, and then the color, I forgot to change that, and there we go. So there we have our center lines with the axis at 45 degrees. So what we want to do now is exactly the same construction as what we did here. Let's just get rid of the water lines. So firstly, we know that the base angle or base side of our square is 30 millimeters in length and angled at 45 degrees, so we make sure that our axes are the same. And now we're going to take our compass and we're going to go, and from the center, on the shortcut key for selecting the center is I, we're going to go there and say tab 15 for the radius, which gives us a diameter of 30, and there we have the start of it. And now we just again use the parallel line tool, so I'm going to go select the parallel line tool to the axis. I'm going to go and say I to select to that. Same on this side, I, and then also to this axis we're going to go I, and to that axis there I. So now we have the layout. We can again use the polyline tool if we want, or just draw singular lines, whichever you prefer. I'm just going to draw these lines like this, polyline. Make sure that I snap to those intersections of the water lines. And now with this leash, I just go right click, and again, if you want to hatch the surface, you would say close, but we don't want to hatch it, we just want to finish it. And now we can just do some housekeeping, and we're going to go and draw for ourselves the extents of our center line up to there, and we clean it up, bring it in. It's always important to keep your line work neat and tidy. Great stuff. So there we have those, and we go edit, clear all constructions. Let's ask ourselves now, why do we do this construction? Well, if we are doing interpenetrations and we have the branching pipe at an angle of 45 degrees or whatever angle is given to us, we can use this construction method now to quickly get the branching pipe, that in this case would be a square branching pipe or a secondary pipe. So let's just take a construction and apply that. So let's say there is our branching pipe's center line. So we always start with the center line, and we know that we need to draw an auxiliary view. So now we want to start by drawing a perpendicular line to there anywhere, and leaving enough space for the branching pipe to be drawn in as well. So I'm going to just start off with a perpendicular line to that center line, change the properties of that, and make it a center line, 0.2, align it. I can change the color here already and say OK. And once I have that, I can now go and I go to the center and say again, we want the radius to be 15, the diameter to be 30. So now that we have this, we can now say, let's take now this example, but turn it now along with this axis there. So what we want to do is, I'm going to just take my ruler and my set square, and then you can use a touch line or a tangent line. So for me on CAD to do that properly, I'm just going to go through the center very quickly, and that will give me a line to work parallel from, so in there. And I also need to draw a horizontal one, and that will give me reference points. All I need to do now is go and draw a parallel waterline tool over here and also over here, and then also at the top there and there. And now all that I have to do is draw the outlines. So I make sure I snap to the intersections. Now I'm just drawing singular lines using the line tool. And there we go. Now we have our square that is going to help us to get the edges of our branching pipe, and all that we do is go parallel to the main center line, draw a light construction line out parallel to the center line or the main axis, and then we can also say to ourselves what is the closest distance that we want to start off with. So I'm going to go and draw 10 millimeters away from there, so I'm going to say -10. So now I know there's a 10 millimeter gap between the branching pipe and the auxiliary view, and then I can draw that as far as I need it up to the distance that meets with the main pipe. And there we go. So there's an application of that construction that will easily help us with the constructions of our auxiliary view when we are doing interpenetration drawings. And let's just clean up there, and then we're done. Good. I hope that this video have been of help. Thank you for the time and watching. I hope that you can do this construction without any problems further on. Thank you.